Hello. Hi, all. We'll give another couple of minutes for people to join in. If there are people joining in, let's. So I'll wait for some time before I start. I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday today. And I'm just checking my stream, making sure everybody can see me. Going good. Okay. I'll give another minute so that I can see more people joining in. Great, great. Okay, so it's about time. We are 2 minutes past 7 p.m. So it's think it's good to start for now. So let me just quickly get everything up. So basically, most likely everybody knows what today's topic is. But before that, I'm sorry. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the series. So this is the third video in the series that I've just started. Every week on Tuesday, I'll be talking about a series. In this series, I'll be talking about how you can build your career on leadership skills and on how you can create visibility and influence so that you can scale and navigate the corporate world. So before we dive in, I need a quick favor from all of you. I want you to know who is in the room. So type in the chat where you're from, where you're watching from today, maybe your city or country, and let me see who's in here. Okay, so let me see. Welcome to all of you. So now I'm streaming this in 3 platforms. I've got it on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Zoho Webinar, so that I can get all of my members to join through the Zoho, and it sort of helps everything keep in one place after it is recorded. Okay. So I see Bangalore, Hyderabad. Great. Chennai. Awesome. I've got a lot of you. So I'm loud and clear. That's good to hear. So let's begin, right? So today's topic, let me also bring up the screen. Strategic visibility. What is it about, right? If hard work was the only requirement for a promotion, if that was the only thing you needed, most of you would be senior directors or vice presidents of your organization or any organization for that matter by now, right? But most of us are not. And I call this the messy middle, right? The messy middle is where you are stuck, right? You are doing the work of two people but getting the recognition of zero. And here is the fact I need you to hear today, right? Being the best kept secret in your company is not a virtue, it is a risk, it is a career risk, right? In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you the strategic visibility framework, what this framework is about, and how you can go about it. I'm going to show you exactly how to get credit for the work that you are doing without sounding arrogant or like you are hooting your own horns, without being political, and without changing who you are. And we're going to cover three specific shifts. Yeah, the so let me move the screen. So we're going to cover three specific shifts. The reliability trap, why being the go-to person is actually killing your promotion chances. So we'll talk about that in detail, and then I'll talk about the 10% rule, the mathematical formula for how much time you must spend on visibility, right? And then the third one, and I think this is the most important one I'll talk about, is the sponsorship gap. Why you need to stop looking for just the mentors, right? Mentors are important, but you'll need to start hunting for sponsors. And if you're tired of watching less competent people get promoted over you, this session is specifically for you. And those of you who don't know who I am, or never been on this channel, or don't know what I do, I'm Rakesh Ravindran. I'm a leadership coach, and I work specifically with high performing mid level managers in large corporations or medium level corporations. And my job is pretty simple. I help you go from being invisible and overworked to securing the influence and pay and leadership roles you deserve, and without selling your soul for that matter, right? And before we dive in, a quick heat check that I need is type invisible in the chat if you feel like your boss has no idea how much work you actually do. Let me know in the comments as well. If you're watching the recording, just type invisible, right? Okay, now let's fix all of that right now. So whatever you type, there is a delay between when you actually send this over to me. So I'm not waiting for that to respond, come back and for me to respond. So I'll go ahead. By the way, that reminds me, if you haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube, please do. And if you're not following me on LinkedIn already, please do follow, because I put out content like this, high value content, as much as I can. In fact, in LinkedIn, I do that almost every day. So you will learn a lot just by that. And if you're really interested, you can actually come into my community where I have pre-recorded courses, and I come on weekly sessions to help answer questions and help leaders be part of that community and feel oneness in sharing their issues, problems, or difficult situation that they want to navigate. We help each other. Then of course we celebrate all the wins that we have in the community as well. So let's start with all of the different traps. So first one is the reliability trap that we spoke about, right? So what is reliability trap? Um, Let me tell you this. Most of you have been told a lie. You know what that lie is about? Have you been told that, just keep your head down, do great work hard, and then the results will speak for themselves? Have you? I'm sure a lot of you have heard that, right? We've been told about this from when we were young kids at school. We were told, just do the hard work, results will show. It works in schools, I guess, right? But in corporate world, if somebody gives you this advice, I'll tell you that it's total garbage advice. It's useless. Results do not speak for themselves. You have to speak for your results, right? When you are 100% reliable, you are the go-to person for everything in your team, but 0% visible, you don't get promoted. You'll never get promoted that way. What you get is you get hoarded. You get hoarded in the team. Think about it, right? If you are the only person who can fix the spreadsheet, save the clients, speak to the clients, and clean up the mess that may have happened, why would your boss promote you? Because they need you right where you are. They need you in the team. You have made yourself indispensable to the operation of that team. But the fact is, while you were indispensable for that team and for that operation, you became invisible to the strategy. And whose strategy? What is strategy? Strategy is the senior leadership team. They are in the strategic roles, right? So to the senior leadership leaders that are there, you look like a doer, right, and not a leader, and that's a problem, right? So you become the doer and not a leader. Leaders don't just do the work. That's a fact, right? They market the impact of the work that they do so that everybody can see how much of their work is actually building or creating the results that the organization wants. Now, let's do quick check, right? I want you to be honest with me in this. Type yes in the chat if you have ever delayed sending an update email because you thought, I don't want to bother them, or I'll just wait until the project is perfect. Or you were just nervous about sending it over. Not that somebody had asked you to send an update email, but I'll tell you more about what you need to do to create visibility, but you just didn't want to do that, right? I can't see the chat on real time, so let's move on, right? The first thing that I'll say is stop waiting for perfection, right? Stop waiting for the work to be perfect. It's never going to be that perfect. Perfection is actually, in my opinion, just an excuse for you to hide behind the work. Visibility is about progress, and that's as simple as that. It's not about the best work that you put out, it's just about showing what has progressed from the last week or from yesterday. That's about it, right? So how do you fix this? How do you fix that? And it's pretty simple, and that brings us to point number 2, the 10% rule. Yeah, sorry, I missed the point on the slide. So don't just do the work, market the impact. Yeah, that's the point in reliability trap. And moving on to the next point, which is the 10% rule. What is 10% rule? Now I'll start from this. I want you to audit your calendar, or just audit your day. Think about your day, right? And I've done that a lot, to many of my mentees that approach me with their career issues and how they can grow in their career. And I can tell you that I can bet you that 99% of your time is spent doing the work. When I say the work, I mean the firefighting or being in meetings to plan a meeting, right? And just doing your day to day tasks, activities, right? Now, I'm not saying those are not important, it is important, right? But those activities can't hold you up 99% of the time. That the 99% of your working hours can't be spent on just those tasks. Now, in that, there are other things that you need to do. There's delegation and planning that you need to do, and I'll talk about that in one of the videos in the future. Now, what is 10% rule specifically? The rule is simple. You must spend 10% of your week ensuring that the right people know about the 90% of the work that you're doing. And please don't misunderstand, this is not about bragging or hooting your own horn, right? The fact is that you should consider your work, the output that you create, as an asset. And it is asset, right? This is asset management. It's not bragging, it's asset management. Your work is an asset to the company. And if you don't report on that asset, the company doesn't know its value. They can't value it, which means that's the value that you created. So here is the tactical play, right? Every Friday, I want you to send, again, I'm forgetting to control the screen, send your weekly impact email. Now, don't misunderstand weekly impact email to just a simple to do list, right? What you need is an impact list, right? Outcome list, not your tasks or activities you do. So don't say in that email, don't say something like attended 5 meetings, finished X number of reports, or got the team cross trained, etc. Right? So a senior leader looking at it or hearing it, for that matter, will think, so what? Right? You were hired for those things. You were there to make sure that the team attended meeting, upskill themselves, finish the report, all of that, your basic everyday work. So if you go ahead and send this as an impact email, the first question anybody would be, most likely they'll probably not want to read it at all when they read the first few lines, because they don't see themselves investing their time in that. They don't see the value in it. Where will they see the value? Senior leaders are all about the strategic outcome that comes, right? What is the impact that you created to those strategic goals? And senior leaders expect that from you. So instead of just simply saying attended or got the team trained, say something like, change it, change the narrative, right? It's all about optics. So you say something like aligned cross-functional teams to save 4 hours of process every week by getting the teams cross-trained, right? Now you're talking about 4 hours of savings that you've created by cross-training two teams. Now that's impact, and it didn't take much time. It's about one line, right? One sentence, but it is focused on what the outcome was instead of just saying you got the team cross-trained. You're framing your work as business value and not just busy work. Now let's get interactive again. So let's see who is brave enough to try this week, right? We are on Tuesday. You have time until Friday, and if you are ready for it, type Friday in the chat if you commit to sending an impact email this Friday, right? Just one email, right? Who's in? Again, I can't see the chat on real time, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But how you build your visibility is depends on how you're able to frame your impact message, right? So you have to fine tune it. In fact, in my community, a lot of the leaders that are part of my community learn how to write that impact brief. And we use AI to get that done. Yeah, so it's quite simple. Anyway, now that leads us to transition to the third point, which is the sponsorship gap. Many of you are looking for mentors, and it is great, right? Initially, it is great to have mentors because they can hand you the ropes and they give you the insight as to how something is functioning, what is happening, and how you can navigate it. And those are all great. But those are great when you are beginning in a new career. So it makes sense when you just started on your new role, possibly, right? But you have the opportunity to turn those mentors into sponsors, or maybe you should be looking for new sponsors entirely different from your mentors, because there is a huge difference between them. With mentors, you can ask, or you are asking questions like, can you give me advice on that scenario? Can you look at my CV? Can you tell me how this functions, right? Mentors are great, but mentors only talk to you, right? Mentors talk to you. What you need is sponsors. And what is the difference between a sponsor and a mentor? A sponsor is someone who talks about you when you're not in the room, you're not part of that room. And this is important, people, right? This is important because you have to understand that decisions about your career, your pay raise or your promotion, your next role happens in rooms you are not invited to, right? If nobody in that room is fighting for you or is not calling out your name, you lose. So the question is obviously, what do you do now, right? So stop asking senior leaders for advice. So it's not just about mentors, right? So you have to transition into getting yourself sponsors. Start asking them for perspective instead. That's how you get sponsor, right? Instead of how do I do this task, etc., or what is happening in the market as a question, you should put a proposal in place. You should talk about strategy. How do you do that? So here's a verbatim that you could possibly use, right? So you could say something like, I'm seeing a trend in the market that could impact our Q3 strategy. Can I get 15 minutes of your time to run my thoughts by you, right? What you're doing there is you're turning just a simple question, and instead you applying what you've learned and strategizing for what that Q3 strategy should be and what that impact is. You're bouncing off ideas rather than just asking for questions and getting an answer from them. So what it does is you show that sponsor that you can think like them, because sponsors should ideally be senior leaders in strategic roles, and they are worried about strategic goals of the company. So you are letting them know that you can think strategic as well, right? By sharing your perspective of that environment that you are in, right? How does Q3 strategy have an impact because of an election in some place, possibly, right? But you're not asking questions, you're putting in your perspective, you're and you have to prepare for it, right? Don't go blind or wing it in that meeting. You have to be prepared and bring out the powerful points that you can bring out. So let's recap. I talked about 3 strategies. Sorry again, I'm delayed in getting the slides up. So the recap. So what is the strategic visibility framework, right? First one is escape the reliability trap. Stop being indispensable at the bottom so you can be valuable at the top. Wow, that's a good way to put it, right? Stop being indispensable at the bottom so you can be valuable at the top. I'm going to use this, right? Now, the second one is apply the 10% rule. Spend 10% of your time marketing your value, not your tasks or activities that you do in a day, but the value that you created in that week, right? Every Friday, please send that out. And then the third one is to secure a sponsor. Find the person who will speak your name in the closed door meetings that you're not part of, right? So that you get that visibility that you need. And finally, here's my challenge. Yeah. I understand that visibility can be very uncomfortable for some of us. I know for me it is not a comfortable thing. I am an introvert. I find it really hard to sort of talk about my activities or my work, my impact that I created. I'm sorry I used the word activity, but it's more about it's difficult for me to talk about the activities. Sorry, just focus there. The impact that I created, or the to bring attention to the work that I've done, the value that I've created. It's not easy. I know that, right? And it's actually safer. It feels safer to be behind that work. Just hide behind the work. But your potential is too high to stay hidden, right? It doesn't hold any value if you're just hiding behind all of that work and not nobody knows about it. The fact is that the organization needs your leadership, not just your labor, not just your hard work, right? They need to see the value. They want your leadership to be available, and they want that to grow. They want that leadership to move up this career ladder. And and if this resonates with you and you realize you may not have an idea of how to actually map out these sponsors or write that impact email, I go deep into this in my community, right? DM me the word visibility right now, and I'll send you the details on how we can build your personal roadmap out of the messy middle. Now, that's it for today's video. And if there are any questions, please put it in the comment and I'll try and answer them. Maybe I'll create a new video on based off of those questions, and I'll know what kind of topics to focus on moving forward. So that's it for this week. Go be visible this week, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.